Hello and welcome to Theory of Anything podcast, episode 49.1.
Woo! Hey.
I am your host, Devon. With me, I have your other hosts, Ford
Yeah, happy days. Here again.
and
Lovely.
Dad.
Fabulous to be here.
Today we are going to be talking about this, that, and the other, of course, as all things are.
Bit of this, bit of
But
that.
before that, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be behind the microphone again, and or in front of a microphone. You don't get such good sound quality if you're behind the microphone, do you?
You don't.
So I tend to sit in front of mine. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. How's Ford?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm not feeling too witty today, so that's a bad on me. But although I was thinking our theme music, our intro music, makes us sound very Hawaiian. I don't know if that's just me.
Oh,
Like the ukulele.
kinda.
Yeah,
Kinda, I suppose.
Is that
it's
good?
an odd
Or is
intro
that bad?
for British people, I think.
Well, I like it because, in fact, I kind of, what's the word? Commissioned, I think, or asked Trinity to come up with it. Our editor in chief. Hi, Trinity, as you edit this. Put the whole nuts and bolts of it together.
Yeah.
And release it for us. When I first talked to her about the episode, why are we talking about the intro after 49 episodes? Giving you the story.
Well, it just occurred to me the other day. I was like, this sounds weirdly Hawaiian.
Weirdly Hawaiian. Yeah, I wanted it to be really quite a simple theme tune, so that's why I kind of led Trinity down that avenue of just having her ukulele. It's she who's playing the ukulele, but I wanted to model it on a YouTuber who I really was following greatly at the time, a guy called Scott Manley. I don't know if you've ever heard me mention him before. He's a fabulously intelligent sci-fi scientist, space geek, and his YouTube channel has changed a little bit. I don't know if his videos now have a different intro, but way back anyway, 2 years ago, before we started podcasting, his intro music was very similar to ours, but ours is unique. But I think he used a similar single instrument idea to his, so that's why we've got it. And she's the only one. I don't know if you two can play instruments a little bit, but maybe the ukulele is the best instrument for it, really.
It's very jingle, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't really get a good jingle out of, a lot
bass
of
guitar
bass
or drum
or something like that,
or drum kit, yeah. Which is what you two play.
Yeah.
And I dabble a little bit with a harmonica, not as much as I wish I could.
So do a family band, couldn't we?
Yeah. Anyway, none of this was in our show notes of what we were going to talk about.
Well,
Good.
that's
Come on,
because before we were going to go into that, we were just catching up.
Catching up, yeah.
Anyone got any pickups from last episode or previous episodes?
No.
I think somebody has. Is it you, Devon?
No, it's not.
Who's going to talk about the Conjuring
Ford is.
3?
No, it's not me.
It's not me.
I've not seen Conjuring 3.
Neither have I.
I can tell. Oh, okay.
One of you wanted to talk about it because you put it in the show notes.
Ford put it in the show notes.
I know I said I didn't want to go to the cinema to watch it.
Okay, hang on. I'll spin something out of this. Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys because we talked about The Conjuring the other day, and I wondered if you'd seen the latest Conjuring film yet or not.
Unfortunately, I haven't.
Okay, you still set on watching it?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to watch it at the cinemas, but we just didn't get around to it, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And we
It's
wanted
not
to watch
so easy these days, is it? You have to get a babysitter and stuff like
Exactly. What the heck?
that.
What's
Yeah.
the point?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Bring her around here and we'll sit for you while you go to the cinema.
It's a bit far, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
It's a good strategy. Yeah, but I really wanted to watch it, especially in the cinema, because I'd be quite good in the cinema. But I think I missed my opportunity now. I think it's not being shown anymore, is it?
No, I don't think it is. It's no longer shown in our multiplex anyway. Yeah.
Sad. Have to wait
I
till it comes
deliberately
out on
didn't
Netflix,
go
isn't
to
it?
see it. I didn't accidentally avoid it. I just didn't want to see it.
Why did you? Why?
Although,
though?
I think I have explained at the end of coming out of one film, I did sneak a peek around a corner of another showing, and it was and looked in on it, and it didn't appeal. Yeah.
Yes. Well, this one's called The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah,
That's
isn't it?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds a bit dodgy from the
think-
get-go.
My slight understanding, and Devon can jump in and correct me if I'm
go on.
wrong.
Yeah.
Probably am. Is that the premise is that it's about some kind of court case where the person who's on trial says that it wasn't his fault because it was the devil who convinced him to murder somebody or something. Because the argument goes, if you can, an act of God can be classified as a genuine reason in certain court cases for somebody to, I don't know, an act, like an insurance claim or something, and they use the phrase "an act of God."
Yeah, but the devil's the opposite to God, though, isn't he?
Well, exactly. But
Yeah.
if a spiritual being of God can be used in the court to justify a claim, then why can't the devil be used as a defence against some bad behaviour?
Wow.
Well,
Which I think is where the idea of devil made me do it.
Well, the thing
But
is, right?
come on, tell us the truth now.
No, you're very. That's pretty much it. But with with court cases, you've got basically sort of put certain points to prove with different cases. You've got the actus reus, which is the actual act itself, what actually happened. So did the act happen? Did he commit the act? And you got the mens rea, which is the thought pattern behind it. If they meant to do it, basically. If
The
it
intention.
was, the intention. So the devil made me do it is like I was possessed, so it wasn't my. It wasn't. I wasn't in control. It wasn't my intention. So if you can't prove the mens rea, then you can't be convicted.
So this isn't a horror film; it's a lengthy court case.
Court case,
Drama.
I think
Courtroom drama,
it's based off a true story. I think.
Wow.
The whole trilogy is.
That's right. It didn't look much like a courtroom drama, the snippet I saw when I sneaked around the corner to look at it. Like no courtroom drama I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we can't really talk about it as none of us have seen it yet, have we?
No,
Need to watch
no
it.
I
and come back.
was hoping one of you had, but never mind.
Yeah.
When it comes out on Netflix, then I'll what's the word?
Yeah.
I'll put it up for one of our homeworks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd never watch.
Oh no, please.
For the pod, maybe I would, but
Oh.
I'd never watch something like it. But I'm interested by the prospect, the concept, even.
Yeah.
Like that's not a defense, is it? And do we believe that really, that the devil can make people do things? I don't think so, but it's not something I've really thought about heavily.
Well, I mean, the Bible talks a lot about possession, demonic possession. A person gone mad and stripped naked and living like I don't know, in the wild or whatever.
He was, wasn't he? Yeah, there is that story in the Bible, isn't there?
So
There you go.
well,
Worth thinking about, or completely ignoring. I don't know.
exactly. Well, thanks for that pickup, Ford.
Anytime.
Who made you want to talk about that? Oh dear. So there is one more thing I thought I might mention as well. I've been paying more attention to my worship songs since our last chat, Devon. You'll be pleased to hear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, listening more carefully to the nuances and the words, and I'm not sure I'm fully convinced with the conversation that we had about worship last time. I don't know if Ford's got anything he'd like to add to that. Maybe.
The thing is, I'd heard of this concept before, so
Yeah.
I'd kind of gone through all this, and I've pretty much mentioned all my thoughts on the episode.
I know. I can see exactly what you mean by some songs more than others. I think there are a lot of songs that talk about God and his awesomeness, as in true worship, alongside different verses and different parts of verses and choruses also saying, because you did this for me, or I am watching out for I, me, we, in the lyrics is really what I've been doing. Rather than I should have probably just been worshipping God, but and I wonder if that's the danger in this. Yeah, I think you made some very valid points, but if we get too caught up in the detail of the kind of the words that are being used, do we miss the bigger picture of what worship is?
Yeah, and I've no I have no issue with having some bits here and there of I, me, we, whatever. But a lot of new churches, I mean, we discovered what we talked about, what I described as new.
That's what you said, didn't you?
It's predominantly just I, me, we, and it's just overwhelming, and it's hardly any of the awesomeness of God. And I think that's the issue.
You're probably right. Yeah.
I think with me, it's as long as the I, we, and me are in the context of God, in the context of what He's done and what He's doing and stuff like that. For me, I'm okay with us being in our worship songs because we're still worshiping if it's about God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get alongside that. It's all about what you're actually saying about I, me, and we, as you say.
Maybe it helped me to be pointed to some good or bad example of it. I can hear obvious good examples, and I didn't write any down to bring them to this conversation. But there've been many songs I've heard in the last few weeks since our conversation in the last episode about it. It was obvious. It was all about God. There was no real reference to I, we, and me. But if I'd like to hear a suggestion, and you can send this to me privately, of what a bad example is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I would think that most songs are somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think so.
What I mean?
I think so, for sure. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No. Yeah. Okay. That was all I want to say about that, really. Yeah. But you brought my attention to it, and I've been trying to.
I've cursed you with it now.
No, like as you did with the word religion in our earlier, less recent conversation. Reevaluate your opinions, don't you, and have a think about it. I don't see it as a curse. It's just another way of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. All right, mate. Thank you.
I guess on to the next part.
And now it's time for Anything Newsfeed.
So, moving on to our Anything Newsfeed. Anyone got anything to share?
Yeah, and that was really this phrase, this term that you probably both are familiar with, VPN.
Yes.
Yes, I thought you would both understand it. But reason that it's come to my attention is I'm hearing adverts a lot for people. Yeah, I think Devon Ford, knows what I might be referring to. Maybe you both do. Yep. Encouraging us to purchase in this piece of software on our computer systems called a virtual private network. And have I given it away now? Sorry.
No, I always thought it was viral protective nanites.
Oh, did you?
Oh, well.
It might be that as well.
Yeah, the real one sounds a bit lame. But all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, who knows? You could be right. But I wanted to get some insight from you both for my benefit and maybe for the benefit of other listeners, of what is a VPN, and do I really need one? Do I want one? And is it going to cost me anything? And what benefits do I get by having a VPN on my computer system? Who'd like to help me out and help everybody else who might be listening?
Well, Devon probably knows more about how it works, but in my understanding, it's for people who are really hyper worried about the government tracking them and all that sort of thing.
Okay.
So for the general public, I would probably say no, but I wonder what Devon might say.
Well, with anything, if it's free, then you're the product, basically. That's what I'm saying. If it's free, you're the product. So the best VPNs, the ones that you have to pay for, basically, the only ones that are worth anything that actually give you security and privacy are the ones you have to pay for. So in terms of do I have to pay for it, I wouldn't suggest using one that you don't have to pay for. Because that kind of defeats the purpose, and they're going to sell your information and everything along. But for Ford's point, a lot of people use VPN so they can get Netflix shows that are only listed in other countries.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Things like that
is a thing.
Or a lot of YouTube videos are restricted to your country, like on a VPN. There we go, you can watch it.
Yeah.
So the concept is that you're on the internet, but the VPN is telling the world that you're on the internet in a different country or from a different place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially. So I can then hook my computer I'm using right now up to a VPN and watch it as if I'm watching Netflix in Australia or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also has protective implications as well, doesn't it?
Because obviously it uses that IP rather than your IP, so it can't be traced back to you.
Yeah. The reason this all came up is I can't remember if I legitimately and deliberately installed one on my computer, but I now have one, and it's called Mac VPN. That's all it's called. It's got a nice picture of a shield, and I open it up, and I can change location, change language, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
All sorts of different settings. But I didn't know whether I really needed one or should have one, or So I haven't played with it at all. But as you say, you can go into any number of different places.
Yeah.
There's 5 in Los Angeles, 5 in New York, 2 German ones, 2 French locations, Finland.
It's all perfectly legal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously I do a lot of internet browsing, but it's a lot of mostly casual stuff, but obviously a lot of not just casual stuff. And even I don't use a VPN. So I don't know how much you'd need one, depending on what you do.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are concerned that the government knows all this stuff about you and they're tracking you and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's the impression I've got, that those are the sort of people who don't want the government to know anything. Or
you do get that for sure. And for a lot of people wanting to buy things off the dark web or buy things that they don't want anyone knowing about, things that can't be then traced back to them. I think we lost someone.
Yeah, good.
Dad? He lagged out just before he stopped talking, so I assumed he was just...
Well, now we can talk. Okay.
You might not necessarily need to edit that out, because that demonstrates something. I don't know what it demonstrates.
It's gone dark.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you couldn't hear me.
No.
Here we are. We're learning on the hoof here,
But
aren't we?
You couldn't hear us, could you?
I could hear you perfectly well. Yeah, I was talking to you, but you were not reacting to my voice. So it was just after I'd switched on my VPN. Yeah.
I don't think that's the intended function.
No, I don't think that's part of it, do you?
No.
So we're probably still none the wiser. I probably won't use it then for now.
Unless you need to, or something comes up that you need it. I don't see why you would, to be honest.
No, but yeah, that's what happened when you switch your VPN on.
Your friends can't hear you.
Yeah. Well, that's all I wanted to say about that. We're none the wiser. In fact, we're a little bit less wise, aren't we now?
Are we?
All that.
I thought we answered some questions.
Did we?
Yeah, what do you want to know?
Is anybody going to want to use a VPN? And if so, who's that going to be? It's none of us.
Probably not either of us. People who are very conscious about their security online.
And their personal information as well. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
That people sell your personal information to other companies, and if you don't want that to happen, you get a VPN. Yeah.
Exactly. People who want to consume a lot of different types of media, so the Netflix thing that we're talking about, and probably people who want to buy dodgy stuff as well off the dark web.
So my VPN is at the moment visible to me. I can select all those different options, but it's switched off. So if I was to switch it on and choose America, for example, would I still be able to do all the other things that I want to be able to do?
No.
If I'd logged on to our Discord, which we use for recording this episode, after logging on to my VPN in New York, for example, would I still have access to be able to talk to you, or do I have...
You would be able to talk to us, but you should have bad ping, so it'd take a while for the...
because it's going to America and then it's coming back to...
Yeah, as far as I understand it. Probably have like maybe 150 to 200 ping, depending on where in America.
Yeah. I'll probably just carry on as I am then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right, I think we've talked enough about that.
Yeah, excellent. On with the show.
And now it's time for Ford's Chosen Subject.
This has all been reviewed before, and it will all be reviewed again, as the adage goes. So, Battlestar Galactica, what do you think?
That's what we're talking about, is it? Battlestar Galactica. I'll kick the ball off, shall I? Just by saying that as we began this episode talking about our theme tune, this is also another subject that we've not discussed at any length at all in the 49.1 episodes that we've done.
Have we not?
together, is it?
That's all.
And well, I don't think we've ever focused on it. We've mentioned Battlestar Galactica in passing, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
But I think we can all say we are huge fans of this sci-fi TV series, aren't we?
Yep.
And it seems very strange to me that it's taken us this long to get around to talking about it in a bit more detail. So thank you very much, Ford, for bringing this to us today.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah.
I don't know how good of a chat it would be, but I remember back when we were trying to come up with a name for the podcast, I suggested Battlestar Geektacular.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a bit of a tongue twister as well.
There was quite a few, wasn't there, of possible name ideas for names.
I've just looked it up, by the way. It's still free. We can still go for it if you want.
No thanks.
Oh, Geektacular.
Yeah, Battlestar Geektacular.
Yeah, I love this show. I think you all know that. I've often commented on it being my favourite sci-fi TV show.
But it's not anymore, is it?
No, that I was about to
Traitor.
say that. There's a bit of a change in that. I've forgotten the name of it now. Yeah,
But it's the best one.
Expanse. There we go. Oh,
Expanse, yeah, that was the show I was thinking of. The Expanse has been a also wonderfully well received TV sci-fi drama, but we have taken the effort and the time, haven't we, guys, to watch an episode of this. And before we get into discussing it, which I'm presuming you wanted us to do, but in watching it, what really struck me was how well it's aged.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think so, because the remake of which we're talking about now, rather than the original 1970-something TV series, this version of Battlestar Galactica began in 2004 and continued until 2009. So that's quite some time since it concluded. But I am very, very keen to go back and rewatch the whole caboodle, I think.
You know what? Me too.
Yeah.
I was
same.
upset to find that the box set that you lent me doesn't have the miniseries in it, because I was going to rewatch it with Beck. But Series 1, Episode 1 starts with previously in Battlestar Galactica, and that's just it's really strange. It's like, well, this is the first episode. But
They didn't include the pilot.
Yeah, there's all little bits and pieces that you have to have on top of the series.
Yeah.
Don't you? So.
Well, I was wondering if one of us could break down the concept, and I do have something written down if you were...
You'd go for it, Ford, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So in Battlestar Galactica, we follow it starts with a civilization living their best life, partying away, being productive in their local communities, and managing to fall asleep without getting a numb arm, which is something I really envy. When all of a sudden a race of machines that they had thought they were at peace with just show up and nearly wipe out the human race. And we follow the Battlestar called Galactica as they round up as many civilians as possible and make a run for it.
But before you go any further, you need to clarify that Battlestar is the name of a spaceship. Yeah, thank you, Devon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a spaceship. Yes.
Yeah, people might not know that.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So they decide, having nothing better to do, that they're going to seek out a sanctuary, a legendary utopia called Earth.
Yes.
Is that good enough for a setup?
That's good beginning, yeah.
And there was an original series in 1978, but it was its ratings didn't justify the budget, so they shut that down after one season.
Yeah.
And there was a brief revival where they did a 10-episode kid-friendly type closer, I guess. Where they finished it up, they found Earth and all this, but that was very much not well received.
No, that's right.
I was wondering if did you watch? Yeah, I was going to say, did you watch the originals?
I do have them on DVD, but I remember watching them originally. It was a TV show I did look forward to in 1978, which would have made me 11, I think. Then, giving my age away. Is that the year you said it came out?
Yeah. So, but the concept that was more of a classic sci-fi, the corny adventures you might imagine. But it lived on in geek memory, and in 2004, like you said, it came back with a storm. They turned Battlestar Galactica into a gritty beast of a show.
Yeah.
I don't think there were any other sci-fis like Battlestar Galactica back then. I don't know if you know better, but
I don't think so, really.
I think it was probably early inspired, the original 1978 show, probably inspired on the shirt tails of Star Wars, I think.
Oh, really? Star Wars?
Yeah. If you think about the timings of it, Star Wars was 76, if I'm correct. And so there was several, there was like Buck Rogers, there was Battlestar Galactica, there was several other TV sci-fi shows. I'm struggling to remember any others. I think Space 1999 was before Star Wars, which again was a bit cheesy and has not aged very well at all. But Battlestar Galactica in 78 was probably, when it first came out, it although it wasn't massively well received, it was probably the best of the bunch.
Right.
At that time, yeah. And it does look very dated now, you can tell. Yeah. I do have them all on DVD. I remember watching most of it, if not all of it, when it was first broadcast. That's what I was saying, wasn't it? But I've not gone back to fully watch my DVD box set version. I would find that more difficult, I think, than watching the 2000 version. Yeah.
So with this remake, it starts off with the Battlestar Galactica being decommissioned, doesn't it? The ship's old, it's got old technology. Yeah, and then it goes on from there. Like I said, Cylons, which is what the robot race is called, Cylons. Yeah. Just FYI. So what did you think of this when you first watched it, Devon?
This episode?
No, this show when it first hit.
Well, we loved it. I loved it. We looked forward to watching it because we were watching it when it was coming out, didn't we?
Yeah.
I looked forward to watching it every week.
It was a highlight of our week, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was TV work.
It was so atmospheric and so engaging. It just grips you, didn't it? I loved it.
Yeah. Something that probably isn't a very good recommendation, but this show made me interested in politics.
Really?
Well, space politics anyway.
Yeah.
Because most of it is that. I think most of it is politics, and then they throw in a few, gunfights and all this. It's great. I don't know what you thought about the politics of it, but yeah.
And also, I think it's quite a spiritual program as well. So it's got a bit of everything, isn't it? You know, the whole thing about the robots seem to be the spiritual beings, don't they? They believe in the one true God, don't they? Now, it's not to be confused with our one true God, but to them, it's their one true God.
Well, is it?
Oh, here we go.
Well, okay, so the Cylons have come back, and you find this out in like the first episode, so I don't count it as a spoiler. The Cylons now have perfected making themselves look like humans. Not all of them are human form, but so they've got a few differences. They've got that. They've got this religiosity, so they believe in a one true God, whereas the rest of humanity are very polytheistic, aren't they? They have lots of gods, and they're also very randy. They all get a lot of action, if you know what I mean.
Well, they're quite zealot as well in their religiosity, more so than the humans are in general. They take it very, very seriously, and it's part of who they are a lot. Whereas with the humans, it's like, it's just more like tradition rather than something that they're actually considering all the time.
What do you think it means that the bad guys are the religious ones? is that awkward?
Yeah, that's why that's my reason for my comment, saying I don't think they're worshipping the same God that we do in our real world. Although much of it seems to have similarities, doesn't it? I mean, in the episode that we just watched, we haven't actually told the listener what we've just watched, have we? To bring us back to this. Would you like to do that? Because the reason I'm saying that is we see that one of the main bad guy humans, but I have a soft spot for him. In fact, he might be my favourite character. Actually, kneeling down to pray for help from his best understanding of this one true God.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's quite a powerful scene, I think. Anyway,
it really is. Yeah.
Tell the listeners what we've listened or watched. Sorry, and give us an overview of that. Yeah.
We decided to grab an episode and just watch it, so we had something to talk about specifically rather than in general form. So we got season 1, episode 9, or episode 7, depending if you're counting the 2 pilot episodes. It's called 6 Degrees of Separation.
Why is it called that, do you think? I was thinking about that. I'm not sure.
Well, it's a play on words, isn't it? What's 6 degrees of something else, isn't it? What's the saying?
I mean, the maybe it's because the lady character is
6.
Number 6, isn't she? Yeah, she's known as the character called Number 6.
Which I think is a bit of a shame, really, because I think she's at least an 8, you know? if you ask me, you know?
She's underplaying herself.
Yeah, I think she needs a confidence boost, honestly.
That's terrible for her.
Oh. Alright, fair enough.
Yeah. No, or each of the Cylons who have taken human forms have been given a numbered designation, haven't they?
Yeah.
So they're all numbered. She just happens to be number 6. It's not a rating on her looks, I don't think.
Well, I hope not. Anyway.
I know you know that. Anyway, yeah, we were talking about this episode, weren't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's number 6, and the episode's called 6 Degrees of Separation, and she appears in this. The actress who plays number 6 also appears as another character who I don't think is Cylon. I think she's the real human that the Cylon has based herself on in appearance.
Really?
That's what I think.
That's an interesting take.
She seems genuinely, and she worked in the same government department that, well, let's add some names. Gaius Baltar, who's the guy who is being accused of bringing down the defense network that allowed the Cylon robots to destroy humanity's homeworld of Caprica. Yeah, and all of the other, why? Because they attacked all of the 12 colonies, didn't they, on 12 different planets?
Yeah.
At the same time. So why were they all linked to that one hub of a data center on Caprica? You would have thought.
Well, maybe they once they were able to get the codes off her, off Gaius or whatever, then they were able to dismantle all their security, I guess, on all the planets.
The suggestion is that Gaius Baltar has planted a bomb at this data center where the defense computer is, and that's what brought down the shields that allowed the robots to attack. You'd have thought that each of those 12 planets would have had their own similar data computer center.
Maybe you're not supposed to think about it.
Maybe I'm overlooking it.
But she's got to be a Cylon.
Do you think?
Yeah,
I think
she disappears at the end, doesn't she? She runs away.
Yeah.
She's very sketch.
Okay, so this episode is about Gaius Baltar, really, isn't it?
Yes,
it's about his self-preservation running amok, and he's getting more and more desperate, and it's just amazing to watch.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Great. He's so funny, isn't he? No more Mr. Nice Gaius.
Yeah. The thing is, it's so easy to believe that he's a bad guy, and he's done all these bad things, and he's selfish and whatever. But so no one believes him at all when he's just,
But he was tricked just like everyone else, kind of. He's just so sketchy as a character that he kind of becomes a bad guy because he's always backing into corners.
Unlike the Gaius Baltar that appears in the 1978 version, who is a really nasty character, but with this Gaius Baltar that we're talking about now and enjoying, I think I wouldn't be surprised if I generally think he could be my favourite character. Yeah, because he gets the best lines. He's got the most interesting character arc, and to get inside his head and see the things that he's seeing is just fascinating to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the earlier episodes as well. You're going along this journey of finding out who they are, what they can do in terms of the Cylons, because he's so confused of where number 6 has come from. If she's real or if she's not, and it's just like you're doing the whole journey with him as well.
Yes, he didn't deliberately betray mankind, did he? It was he was as upset about it as everybody else, but he gets away with it in this episode anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah. So another 6 shows up. We're gonna say, assuming they're not human. Another 6 shows up as pretending to be a human and says, "Hey, look, I've got some evidence to say that Gaius Baltar is responsible for destroying humanity, essentially." And so she's got a picture that's all grainy, and they're trying to decode it. I guess they're trying to clean up the picture. It's a technology that it's not a thing, but we pretend it is. I love it at that scene when Gaius is there and what's his name? Gator. Gator's and he's saying how we can clean it up, but it's going to take a long time. And Gaius is like, "Oh yeah, so long, weeks." He's like, well, a couple of hours at least, yes. He's like, oh. And in the bathroom scene.
I love that scene in the toilets.
Yeah,
because that's that's something we don't normally see, do we? A toilets in a spaceship,
No, yeah. That's another part where you see that this sci-fi is gritty and real. You wouldn't see it, like you just said, you wouldn't see a toilets in Star Trek.
No,
No.
that's right.
And they do an amazing feat acting, which is quite cool.
Very clever.
Yeah.
And I did see online somewhere that the whistling he does is the theme tune from the original Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, right.
He begins to whistle a little bit before he starts his conversation with the other character.
Gator.
Gator, yeah.
Yeah, so Gator's in charge of decrypting this picture or whatever, and Gaius sneaks into the bathroom, the toilet stall next to him, and starts trying to, I don't know, influence him, trying to get in on it, and he's so bad at it.
Yeah.
And Gator's nice and kind, so he's kind of going along with it a bit. Yeah, it's fun. What do you think to the other characters of the show? I know this is a Gaius episode, but I mean, let's start with Starbuck. I mean, she got a revamp, didn't she? Because in the original, she was he was he was a budget version of Han Solo, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, there was some other quite significant character changes, wasn't there? Boomer, yeah. I think in the TV show, she is a young boy.
No, I believe he's a guy, just a man. Yeah, he's another
Boomer.
pilot.
Yeah, Boomer's the black guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sharon Valeri.
And in that's right. Boomer is a black guy in the original 70s show, but in this, she is a Asian female.
Woman.
Yeah.
I have to say, this show does so much better. I don't mean to offend the originals, but I think it does everything better, to be honest.
Of course, yeah.
But it gives character, you know.
Yeah, like you were saying with Starbuck, like it was a huge episode for Starbuck, I think.
This was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously she's being stubborn and she's being messed about, and she just came back from this big mission and just like barely escaping death, and she's struggling with her own, like, not being capable basically, and it's too hard, I can't do it, and then but she knows she can do it, and it's a lot of struggle with her. So I think it's quite a big episode for her. So
well, you say that, but I think she's a side character, but they still managed to squeeze all of that character development into like such a small amount of time. Because the episode's not about her, but
no, it's not.
It still manages to give her progression, you know.
Yeah. And it's building a relationship as well between her and Apollo throughout the rest of the seasons as well. Her and Bill Adama. It's just like it's very family. Like they're just really good at building that relationship, building the character, and making you feel like they're actually they mean a lot to each other.
Her relationship with Saul Ty, is that correct? Yeah, he and Starbuck have this. They have an interesting interaction, don't they?
Yeah.
In that scene in the hospital. Yeah.
I don't know if they have like a tough love father-daughter relationship.
They do, don't they? Yeah.
It's weird.
That's definitely something that's going on there. Yeah. Yeah.
But the captain Bill Adama, which you just referenced, he's a tough, no nails kind of guy. Who tough as nails? Yeah, there we go.
Nails, yeah.
No nonsense kind of guy.
Yeah.
No nails.
Lots of nails.
Yeah, that's the glue advert, isn't it? No one else. But everyone respects him, don't they? And I love the scene where Shelley Godfrey, which is the sixth, who's pretending to be a human and bringing this evidence against Gaius, where she's trying to flirt with Bill Adama to win him over, essentially, and he's just having none of it. I think that's Six's strategy for everything, isn't it? Seduce and destroy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think this show's too gritty? Like, are there any good characters?
Yeah.
When I say good, I mean in the like righteous sense.
I think the president, Laura Roslin.
Yeah.
I think her only flaw is the cancer that she's been inflicted with.
Really?
She's very pure of heart, and she wants to do the right thing all the time.
I don't know about that, because spoilers for later on, when Gaius is coming to be president or something like that, she's cheating. She's fixing the vote ballots because she knows. Or who's the other guy who the original Apollo from the original TV show comes in? Tom Zarek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a political rival. and she'll do anything to get him keep him out of office. She does blur her lines a bit, morally speaking.
The character that you just mentioned, who comes in,
Tom Zarek.
Yeah, he who does he play in 70s?
He's Apollo.
Apollo, yeah, of course he is. Yeah, Apollo.
But he comes in this, and he's a terrorist, so he's like the polar opposite. Apollo's the good, all-American boy.
Yeah, what's wrong with Apollo? Apollo's a good guy. No, but what about the chief, the engineer chief? He's a good guy.
Well, then he beats up Callie. Like they all have their moments, I think, for sayings where they have character, they have bad times, and Apollo gets fat and lazy, and there's no one character really apart that actually is a heroic one that doesn't do wrong.
But they're redeemable, aren't they? They all come back at some point. Well, those particular characters that you would consider as being majoritively good do redeem themselves in some way, and that's what makes a character arc development interesting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
with
I'm
every
not
good story, yeah. I don't. We've talked about this before. I think if somebody is impeccably good all the time, they're a boring character, aren't they?
Yeah.
If they don't have their struggles, I think you've talked about that with Superman, haven't you? And One Punch Guy and stuff like that.
Yeah, One Punch Guy.
So I think there's some clearly good characters in this, and there's some clearly bad guys as well.
Well, personally, I think that's not the case. I think they blur the lines so well, and you understand why the good people, in inverted commas, are doing bad things, and you get it. And you can kind of see why the bad guys are doing what they do as well. Yeah. I think they really flesh out those motives.
I like some of the Cylons, they're nice characters. They're not all bad, are they? The characters who are the enemy in this,
You're just saying that because they're good looking.
Oh, yeah. 6 out of 10, yeah.
I suppose Hilo's pretty constantly good, I think.
I mean, he just stole the chief's girl in this episode they were talking about.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
you got me on that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a bit naughty, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I did think, all this thing about making a machine that can detect Cylons from humans, they just have to put them in a position where they are sexually aroused, and we can just look at their back. Yeah, that's all you need to do. You don't need any other fancy blood works to be done.
Oh yeah, I should have said at the beginning of this episode. It seems like Gaius has been sort of he has been guilted into trying to build a Cylon detector, and he has no idea how to build it, and he doesn't want to build it. So yeah, that's where we start, kind of thing. But yeah, they glow red when they get intimate.
Aroused, yeah. Maybe as the episode concludes, my original thoughts on whether number 6 pretending to be Shelley, what was her name? Shelley
Godfrey.
And I was saying perhaps that she was a real human that number 6 based herself on. You countered that by saying, well, where did she disappear to? But also, we see in the final scene when Gaius is lured upstairs in his thoughts with the seductive number 6, that it was her plan to kind of improve his status with the humans.
It all kind of works out for him at the end, doesn't it?
That's what she wanted to happen.
But I think
I think she's chatting Macca, to be honest.
I think number 6 deliberately that was a deliberate thing to discredit Gaius and then recredit him with a better standing amongst the humans, so he'd be more useful to them in the future.
I think that's just making the best out of a bad situation. I think they wanted him not to be able to work on the silence detector anymore.
Which is what he said, isn't it? They're getting at me because they want you to get rid of me because I'm so close to solving this puzzle.
Yeah.
But the 6 in his head has a different agenda to the rest of the Cylons.
She does, yeah.
Yeah, so the Cylons might have been trying to discredit Baltar, but the 6 in his head has her own plan, I think. And the plan, basically from the start there, I think, was to get him back on God's side, as it were, her God's side. Because at the beginning, she's ranting religious, and he freaks out, doesn't he? He says, "Look, you're boring me to death here. Do you mind?"
She walks out on him, doesn't she?
Yeah. And then by the end, he comes to God, and she comes back that second. I think that was her play, and the fact that it worked out for him, kind of just happy coincidence.
There's lots about this whole series. I'm thinking more globally now, the whole series, that I really need to be refreshed about. And I think a rewatch is definitely needed, as it's been 11 odd years since we probably saw this, so yeah, but in the overall picture of the scheme of the story, I don't remember being disappointed at the conclusion of it all. Do you?
I wasn't. A lot of people were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it, but maybe I was just so young that I just accepted whatever I saw. But
we have to remember that there's some massive spoilers we don't want to reveal too much about, do we? But yeah.
But a lot of people saw it as a Lost or a Game of Thrones, where they just dropped the ball on the ending. Yeah, so I've heard anyway.
I don't even ask what you want with the ending. Like,
that's a good point.
What more do you want from it?
I can't. We can't really get into that without spoiling things.
No.
But you know what I mean, though. Like, I don't know.
No, I thought it was good enough. I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as a Game of Thrones or a Lost. But yeah, one more question. Paps has already said what his favorite character is. Devon, what's your favorite character?
Oh gosh.
Or should I say, who do you like to watch the most?
So
because, like I said, there are no good guys.
I really like Sultai. I really like Starbuck. But back when we were watching it for the first time, my favorite character was Chief. Galen.
Yeah, I thought you might say Chief.
He was my favorite back in the day.
I love that whole in this episode that we've watched. The working on the Raider. The robot ship. The Cylon ship, because it took me right back to when we used to play the game, didn't we? The online browser game. Yeah. What was that called? Just Battlestar Galactica, wasn't it?
Battlestar Online or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked into it. It's not working anymore.
I know. I did not so long ago.
Oh, right.
I was really disappointed about that. I want to fly that Raider again. I was a Cylon Raider, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Were you flying in the what was the Vipers? Were you?
I think we were all Cylons, weren't we?
Yeah, we were all Cylons. I think I had one of the old-fashioned.
Oh, you did, yes.
Ones,
yeah, the 78 series Raider. But you can see that Viper style kind of looks like it might have been, because one thing about this, I thought they've changed a lot from the original series to the 2004 series.
Yeah.
In terms of characters.
There's no more Robot Dog.
What they didn't change so much was the physical stuff. The ships look very similar. Well, no, actually, didn't. The Raiders look very different, don't they? Yeah. But the Viper looks very similar, didn't it? And the Galactica itself, we haven't really talked about Galactica as a ship. That is identical, I think, between the two different series.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the beauty of this, we've talked about the characters in it, almost Galactica becomes another character by the end of you watching the 74 odd episodes of this series.
Well, yeah, I remember a lot of issues with the ship and things like that. Yeah,
the ship is gradually dying, isn't it? And I remember being actually really emotionally affected by the fact that even though we're watching a TV show, this spaceship is coming to the end of its usefulness and the end of its life.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's coming to the end of its usefulness at the beginning of the show.
Decommissioned,
So it's very believable, isn't it? That actually this thing's a time bomb.
Yeah.
You've journeyed with this ship through so many adventures, and it was on its last legs at the start, like you say. And it didn't get blasted out the sky. Not giving. I guess that gives some away.
Or did it?
But yeah, it almost retires itself in a way, doesn't it? If I remember it correctly, there wasn't a big, like with a lot of the Star Wars. No, sorry, Star Wars and Star Trek. I meant to say, so many versions of the Enterprise. There's been a final scene of the Enterprise getting blown up and destroyed, and then they bring out the new version of the Enterprise. You know what I mean?
A big grandiose battle.
A big battle where it gets pummeled and explodes. Whereas with Galactica, it takes a beating many a time, but we live through the whole drama of the whole 74 episodes with it. Do you know what I mean?
I think that really speaks to the realism as well, because there's things like when the water tank explodes or something like that. Yeah. And then for the next few episodes, we're all worrying about, have we got enough water to go around?
Yeah.
And the food shortages, and it just, and like you're saying, the ship's falling apart. It all adds to this realistic type style.
Well, it's the end of the world desperation, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what's very
Survival,
different from
yeah.
Star Trek. It is just like survival, and there's nothing else we can fall back on.
And they capture that as well. And we used to take notes of it, didn't we? At the beginning of every episode, Laura Roslin had got on her wall behind her on a whiteboard the number of people that are left.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
47,000. I don't know what they finally end up with, but each episode you see that number coming down, or somewhere in the opening credits. Anyway, we see the number of human survivors there are.
I mean, it sounds very depressing when we talk about it, but
Yeah.
it's not quite as depressing as it sounds. It still has
No.
it has humor and
does.
levity and stuff. I think
Yeah.
this to me is an ideal version of gritty. I don't want it more gritty than this
No.
because people do get so gritty that it gets depressing.
Yeah. And it's not sweary apart from the F word being changed to frack, isn't it? You know, there's no other swear words, is there?
So it's quite scary.
What, FRAK?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we know what they want to say, but they're saying it in a dignified way, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't swore, but we're allowed to say that word on the podcast, aren't we?
Okay. From now on, we're allowed. Okay.
And we like Father Ted's version of that word, don't we?
Yes,
Anyway.
but they're still cursing, aren't they?
Yeah, they're cursing, but they're not in an offensive. When I watch it, my ears don't resonate with our version of that word.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's a great way of handling it.
Well, fair enough.
And what age? It's rated 12, isn't it? So I think that's a good way of making it accessible to a younger generation.
Wow.
I mean, there isn't nudity. There's no gore in terms of violence. The violence is action rather than gratuitous, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, I mean, in some places it might get a bit much for some delicater souls, but yeah, in the broader scheme of things, it's actually pretty mild.
There's probably more emotional stuff going on that, you know, like the scenes where people are left behind, you know, and
Yeah.
the ships all disappear, and we know that children have died, you know, and things like that. You don't see them dying, but we know that that's what's just happened. And
Yeah, it doesn't pull its punches with the emotion, does it? It's
no,
always...
yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Wow.
How many number 6s out of 6 do you give it? We're not doing a review. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I really like Battlestar Galactica. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. I really want to watch them all again.
Yeah,
Yeah. I wanted to before, but this is just whet my palate even more.
it has definitely. Yeah.
I'm very much considering just ordering the box set Blu-ray off Amazon next day delivery.
But it's coming up to Christmas.
What do you mean?
Well,
4 months away.
I've got access to them through my they're all available on iPlayer, and I've
BBC
also got
iPlayer.
them all sitting on my shelf. So, and I'm going to see you in a few weeks. So why don't you just take them all home with you?
Yeah, I suppose.
Oh,
Yeah, unless it's something you want to keep, you know, I would suggest just put your money away and borrow mine. Yeah.
Okay.
if I have to.
Oh, all right. Maybe because there are the films, aren't there? There are.
We have Razor,
Yeah,
we have Blood and Chrome,
yeah.
and The Plan.
The plan. Maybe not necessarily the next opportunity because we're watching a film next, aren't we? It will be in a little while, but we could include a Battlestar Galactica film into our assignment chat.
Vote on that if you can.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
because I wanted to give this a mighty score as a TV show.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that.
No, it's illegal.
Yeah, and I think smart final thoughts from me is that what appeals about it so much is its realism, its grittiness. It's exactly the same thing that drew me to the original Alien film.
Yeah.
Because it was a dirty spaceship, you know, the Alien universe was the first film. We've reviewed that in assignment chat, and you can go back and look for that, listener, if you want to. But the and it's also the same thing that appeals to me in the Expanse universe, the other TV sci-fi drama series that I rate. If not, I'm still unsure in my mind whether I like that better than this.
Oh,
But it's very, very close.
Battlestar Galactica's back in the running, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a photo. Because we're talking about it now, isn't it? And I've been through the Expanse journey some time ago, but having watched Battlestar again, it will be a photo finish to see who gets that 9.75 out of 10. You know, leaving the 0.25 in case there's something in the future is better. It would be hard to choose, but what they all have in common. Those three universes is the gritty rawness of the environments, you know, and brilliant characters. Yeah. Okay.
Let's wrap it up and send it to someone for Christmas.
Yeah.
Devon would like a copy.
Yeah.
Let's set your next assignment and say toodaloo.
Excellent.
Right.
So the next assignment that we've got on our list for the next review episode is a film called I Am Legend,
Yes.
the remake of Omega Man,
That's correct. Yeah. Well done.
starring Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that one.
I am.
So feel free to have a little watch. Send us your thoughts and your prayers. You can send them via lots of different ways. Check out the description. It's very easy.
Okay. So I guess that's all that leaves me to do is to say till we meet around the microphone again next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.